2 minutes till broadcast. One minute till broadcast. Thirty seconds till broadcast. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Broadcasting from the heart of the nation, the next generation in conservative talk radio. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Boom, here we are, ready to rock and roll for it. What's up, my friends? Welcome into it. It is your Friday here on the Voice of Reason. Hey, it's so great to have you along for the ride as usual. Plenty to cover, plenty to talk about as usual, and especially for a weekend. I know you finally made it. Pat yourself on the back. You scream, I scream. We all scream for ice cream, although it is not National Ice Cream Day. That would be the day Joe Biden officially dropped out of the presidential race. Yeah, we're never letting that one go. Great to have you today. We got a lot to talk about for sure. Liz Peek will be on the program. Now, I will preface this. The audio on this interview, a little bit weird. It's still not bad at all. We're going to play it, but it was actually when we had filled in for the Todd Starnes radio program earlier this week. It was a really fascinating conversation, and I realized that my listeners would probably enjoy it as well. So we are going to play that interview at the bottom of this hour. She is a columnist and commentator. And looking forward to that chat. We'll talk about Greenland. We talk about the state of the Republican Party and more. So really important information. Looking forward to playing that at the bottom with Liz Peek, the columnist and commentator. That being said, as usual, welcome into the program. It is The Voice of Reason. My name's Andy Hooser, broadcasting out of the heart of the nation in Wichita, Kansas, on our flagship radio station. But we are all over the country doing our thing.
Do it live!
Like we do every single day here on this program. I want to spend some time today really trying to talk about the narrative that we're hearing in the mainstream media, the narrative that we're hearing going into midterm election, and the latest poll numbers. Now,
what's trending today?
That being said, I want to preface this by most of us probably know poll numbers are kind of meh. Poll numbers are very skewed one way or the other. Poll numbers really don't matter a lot anymore, at least not as much as what they used to back in the day. And the poll numbers are a lot of times very often very wrong. So take them with a grain of salt. That being said, I think there is a deeper conversation that we probably need to have regarding the narrative of the Republican Party. And I hate to say this, and I really struggle in understanding why we have to say this, but the Republican Party itself and the conservative movement has a really hard time with messaging. And I say that, again, baffled on why we have that issue, because we have talk radio, we have podcasting, we have the alternative media. Now, Democrats obviously hold for the majority the mainstream media outlets, but at the same time, their ratings have been going downhill and continue to decline each and every year. Ratings book after ratings book after ratings book. We look at outlets like Newsmax TV that is now beating CNN and MSNBC, what are they now? MS Now, I think. It's not MSNBC any longer. So we're starting to dominate in the ratings and where people are paying attention, the young generation especially, really not wanting to pay attention to the mainstream media. They don't sit down and watch the 5 o'clock news any longer. They're listening to podcasting. They're listening to talk radio. They're listening to other outlets that they realize they don't trust the mainstream any longer. But yet, for some reason, the basic, I guess, general acceptance of a conversation as a narrative in culture, in society, is still what the mainstream media is talking about. And I don't understand necessarily how that works. So, that being said, we still have ways to work on our messaging to get our message out there as conservatives and as members of the Republican Party. For those that don't know and that may be relatively new to the show, I am the vice chair for the state Republican Party in the state of Kansas. So I'm not just on the radio, I'm on the inside, and we see what's going on the inside. And one of the conversations that we have constantly is, how do we message to the voter? How do we message to the constituency? And it leads me to a couple of the polls that we're seeing right now. Poll number 1, and I want you to play the game on whether this is a legitimate poll or something of a legitimate concern or something to completely write off. Number 1, and this one from CNN. I know, that one already. People are like, no, I'm done. I'm out. CNN, are you kidding me? According to a public opinion poll that's being reported by CNN right now as a new CNN poll that was conducted by SSRS, the majority of Americans, and their number, according to them, 58% of Americans, almost 60%, say Donald Trump is focused on the wrong priorities as his administration and doing too little to address the issue of a cost of living and, quote, affordability. Now, the reason that I say take this with a grain of salt, not only is it because of CNN, but of course they're using the issue of cost of living and the affordability because that's the term that Zoran Mamdani coined, is mayor of New York City, is his number one priority, which means now all of a sudden it's the talking point for the Democrat Party. Now, forget the fact that the Biden administration created inflation of 30% over a 4-year period, where the cost of living went up 30% in a 4-year stint. I'm pretty sure your and I's incomes salaries did not increase by 30% during that time. So now all of a sudden affordability is a problem. But they say that's problem in issue and priority number 1. That is something that's not going to be fixed on a dime, even though we do live in an instant gratification type of society. Donald Trump has been working on that, and if that is their only issue, I am optimistic that we're going to see a fix of that in 2026 as the golden age of America begins to show itself after the economic policy that Donald Trump was able to implement throughout this past year, and we're going to start seeing the results of that here relatively soon. But they say 58% of Americans say cost of living is priority number 1. Donald Trump focusing on the wrong priorities. Do you believe it? Do you not believe it? For me, I would have to say, probably don't believe that one too much. But does it still matter? It does, and we'll get to that in just a minute. Issue number 2 and poll number 2. 46% of Americans, according to the latest survey, show that a majority of Americans, or at least almost a majority, 46% of Americans, support the idea of abolishing ICE. I know. Now, again, hold your laughter for just a moment. Is there an issue to be had here? Yes, there's a conversation to be had, but it's probably because of the absurd, ridiculous rhetoric that we're hearing from the other side when they demonize ICE to the point of not only calling them the Gestapo of the Trump administration, but even people like Jasmine Crockett, Congresswoman from the state of Texas, that is now saying that they are the slave patrol.
And I will say it loud and proud because the DH secretary had a few choice words for me, but this looks like modern-day slave patrols. And they have been sanctioned by this Supreme Court.
This person's running for Senate, by the way.
Whoever thought we would live in a country that progress looks like having a Supreme Court that says, yes, it is okay to or to listen to their accent and give permission to grab them.
Yeah. That's the insanity that she's running for Senate in the state of Texas, by the way. How well is that going to work out for Texas voters with Jasmine Crockett saying that now ICE, trying to enforce federal immigration law, is now the slave patrol? And how dare a Supreme Court allow ICE to continue to be their operation? Now, you got to remember, and I guess you could take this with a grain of salt and say that a few years ago, really, before 9/11, there was no Department of Homeland Security. It didn't exist. And so, therefore, ICE didn't exist because ICE is under the Department of Homeland Security. It's always kind of sort of been around for a while. And it was in different ways, but it fell under the purview of the Department of Homeland Security after 9/11, when the Bush administration and the Patriot Act kind of moved things around and created these agencies. But that narrative itself doesn't really work well with the general populace. Are people angry with ICE? Well, a sect of the American population's angry with ICE right now. We're seeing the protests and the violence that's going on in Minneapolis. But outside of that, the general populace, the ones that are not necessarily involved in politics, not necessarily following the trends on the day-to-day activities and current events, are they the ones that are angry with ICE? For the most part, no. Because obviously they realize the fact that people are here illegally and they're illegally committing crimes, and we want crime off the streets. So another failure for Democrat policy? Sounds like it. However, they continue to ramp it up because Democrats, for some reason, and it's not necessarily a party issue, more of an ideological issue, progressives, we'll put it that way, left-wing progressives always take the level too far. Bernie Sanders, who wanted to complete the FDR socialist takeover of this nation and wanted to finish what he had started, that was a little bit too far, and the American people rejected it, even among the Democrat Party. AOC, Zoran Mamdani, they're still trying to push that narrative further, but every time that they get an inch, they try to take 2 miles because they've doubled down, apparently, on the idea of actually abolishing ICE.
Starting to hear some of the chants for abolishing ICE, as we heard several years ago, which I think Democrats ultimately think was not the greatest messaging for the party.
ICE has become a lawless mob rather than a law enforcement under President Trump. And you look at this situation, Ms. Good the other day, her last words to the ICE agent was, "I'm not mad at you," and then is shot in the face. So my point is, end ICE as you know it and you see it today.
Okay, so the push to abolish ICE. This is the same kind of push where they wanted to defund police, even though now they admit, or they tried to create the whole, we didn't actually want to defund the police across the nation, when they literally had signs that said defund police. So they've tried to twist it into pretzels, and now they're going back to this narrative. We want to defund police. We want to abolish ICE. We want to get rid of law enforcement. We essentially want lawlessness in the nation for us to do whatever we want to, because when we're held accountable to us not following the law, like immigration law, human trafficking, fentanyl, drug trafficking, whatever it may be, when we're held to account, then we start throwing a temper tantrum, and we want to abolish the people that are actually doing this type of enforcement. This is the narrative that is now, again, the basic, generally accepted conversation in society. And that's why the Republican Party, the conservative movement, however you want to look at this, is having a major messaging problem that we need to seriously address, because it leads to the third poll of the day.
What's trending today?
And the poll is that the future, looking ahead, not looking at the instant gratification, not looking at the here and now, but looking at how parties need to evolve moving forward, that there's a serious problem that I think both parties need to begin addressing, and that is the fact, according to Newsmax.com, according to the recent Gallup poll, 45% of U.S. adults now identify themselves as political independent in 2025, with the young generation being a major leader in that movement, not wanting to be part of the two-party system. Now, whether we like the fact or not, we have a two-party system. As someone coming internally from the state Republican Party and part of the Republican Party, I see flaws in the Republican Party, which is why I agree to be part of leadership, because I want to work to change some of those. But that's a fight that we need to have, as opposed to just walking away when you have 45% of adults that identify as independent and say that the parties are just, both establishment, they're just two wings of the same bird. And we have all these analogies about how bad the political system actually is. And I want to remind, and maybe this is a good time to remember for some of our new listeners, that if you are considering yourself as an independent or not affiliated, I don't like the two parties, the two-party system, so on and so forth, how else do you get your message across? And what is the role? And I ask you, and seriously, contemplate this. I want you to ask yourself, what is the role of a political party? What's the purpose of a political party in the first place? Because the whole reason to have a political party is to have like-minded individuals with the same values, the same ideas, the same policy views, for the most part, to have a louder voice together as a unified message in order to actually move the needle a little bit and change the narrative. And if you don't like the way the party's representing, then you have two choices. You can walk away from it or you can change it. A lot of times, obviously, money talks, so therefore it's difficult to change the party, but in my opinion at least, it's still better than walking away from it completely. Do you know how many independent or third-party parties there are in the nation? Anybody know? Show of hands. You can even Google it, and it really says, like, we don't really know because every state has really an indefinite amount that you can register as a third party, and as long as you have, like, 5 people to say that you're part of it, then you're now established as a third party within your state. I did a research on it, I want to say late high school, early college, and obviously probably changed since then in the last 15, 20 years, but the last I had seen was there was roughly 280 third parties in this nation. That's a lot. How many of them do you actually know? There's the Independent Party, there's the Libertarian Party, there's the Green Party, the Socialist Party, the Communist Party, all of them with very similar ideas, but they wanted to go down their own purist view to say this is the only way. And I asked the young generation that's walking away from the party system, does that help you actually get your narrative across with what you actually believe in?
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
When America builds, the world follows. Our energy powered the 20th century. We've set the standard for generations, and we never waited for permission. But now, we're being held back. Outdated rules, endless delays. Without permitting reform, Washington's red tape is slowing us down while other nations race ahead. It doesn't have to be this way. We can clear the way for energy that's affordable, reliable, and built right here. Because what's built here is felt here. Lower costs, more jobs, stronger communities. That's what permitting reform makes possible. Energy didn't just shape our country, it powered the American dream. And with our innovation, we can lead the 21st century. Congress has a choice. Build America's energy future or risk falling behind. Tell Congress, pass permitting reform now.
Miss any part of the show? Well, don't worry. Now's your chance to go find the podcast and listen to as much of the Voice of Reason as you'd like. As the show continues to grow all across the nation with great radio affiliates, we also continue to grow as one of the top conservative podcasts, ranked 5th on the MillionPodcast.com Best 50 Conservative Leadership Podcasts in the nation, and number 1 on FeedSpot.com's 30 Best Conservative Talk Shows in the country. The show continues to grow each and every day. Just find us on any of your favorite podcasting sites at The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser. Hey, did you know that you can have multiple different networks on one single smartphone? Well, with Patriot Mobile, you can. It's time for you to sign up for the Patriot Mobile primary phone plan with plans as low as $15 a month, where you can have 2 numbers and 2 networks on one single phone. And right now, if you sign up using the promo code REASON, you can get an entire month absolutely free. It's the Patriot Mobile One plan. 1 phone, 2 numbers, and 2 networks. And it's all at patriotmobile.com/reason. Again, patriotmobile.com, and use the promo code REASON.
What fuels the freedom to dream bigger? How did 2 guys in a cramped California garage reimagine the phone and put the power of the universe at our fingertips? At Americans for Prosperity, we believe greatness can happen anywhere. We just need freedom and the opportunity to make it real. But today, with a rigid system stifling progress, limiting creativity, and holding us back. That's why at AFP, we offer solutions that tackle the most critical challenges facing our country, so there's nothing standing in the way of America's next breakthrough. Because what we build today doesn't just shape the future, it defines it. How will you be defined? Take your first step today with Americans for Prosperity.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US-based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever, every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Switch today and get 1 month of service absolutely free by going to patriotmobile.com/reason.
When reason meets radio. This is the voice of reason with Andy Hooser.
Well, the Insurrection Act, which has been used by 48% of the presidents as of this moment, the Insurrection Act also, if you look at it, I believe it was Bush, the elder Bush, he used it, I think, 28 times. It's been used a lot. And if I needed it, I'd use it. I don't think there's any reason right now to use it. But if I needed it, I'd use it. It's very powerful.
All right, so it's very powerful. I love Donald Trump. I love how he says that stuff. It's very powerful. I can use it if I want to, but right now I don't see the need for it. The threat of the martial law, according to The View, because they don't understand the difference between the Insurrection Act and martial law, vastly different, but that's the way, again, the narrative has been spread, so therefore the panic and hysteria of what?
We're all gonna die because of you!
Yeah, absolutely insane. Hey, want to tell you about my friends over at Lean and our partners with Brickhouse Nutrition. I have been taking Lean since the beginning of the year. I feel great. Already lost about 3 or 4 pounds. It feels fantastic. I have more energy, and you can do the same if you're still working on your New Year's resolutions. You had no idea how much damage gaining weight and losing weight could do to your body. Back and forth and back and forth. It's very tough. Don't do that. Doctors call it weight cycling, and half of Americans do it. It's when you lose 10 pounds or so, and then you put it back on, and maybe even a little bit more. It's really tough on your body and organs, and it's probably leaving you really frustrated. Bottom line, most Americans need help losing weight, and here's a great way to do it with non-prescription Lean. It was created by doctors. It's an oral supplement. It's not an injection, and science is really impressive. Lean helps you maintain healthy blood sugar. It helps control appetite and cravings, and it helps by burning fat and converting the fat to energy. And by burning fat, it keeps the weight off. Here's what you do. You want to lose weight meaningfully and with a healthy pace and keep it off? Add Lean to your diet and your exercise lifestyle. Get 20% off right now for my listeners alone when you enter the promo code REASON at TakeLean.com. Again, go to TakeLean.com and use our promo code REASON with TakeLean.com. I talk about these polls, and for those that missed part of it, right now, according to the Gallup poll, 45% of U.S. adults identify as political independent, with 27% of Americans identifying as Democrats, 27% as Republicans right now. They say it's the highest figure of self-identified independents since the poll began back in 1988. The previous number was at 43%. That was measured in 2014, 2023, and 2024, according to the pollsters. Why this matters? Well, we still have a two-party system, and I really, really, really strongly advocate that if you're frustrated at the two-party system, I get it. I understand. I've been frustrated as well, very frustrated with the way that the Republican Party handles many issues. What did I do? I didn't walk away and be like, I'm an independent now. I'm a wicked, wild free thinker. You know, you can go and change the system. You can fight for the values. And if the parties, here's the message to the parties on the other hand, and this is for both Republican and Democrat, if you're going to be viable, and if you're going to live through the future without major changes, you're going to have to adapt because, again, the reason that you exist in the first place is to give the, I hate to use this term because it's very socialist-like, it's for the greater good, it's the collective, but it's for a group of like-minded people to have a loud voice to actually change policy and get what they want done. And in order for you to do that, you have to have members that are actually wanting to be part of your organization because they believe in the same thing you believe, and you're representing them as a collective group, as a political party. And for the Republican Party right now, I'll be the first to admit, we struggle on that big time on many issues that are affecting the younger generations. The Republican Party right now, probably the two biggest issues that's tearing them apart is where regulation should be on abortion for either state levels or federal level, the issue of marijuana, and actually accepting the fact that the vast majority of young gen doesn't want to regulate a plant like that, and yet the party has not quite embraced that idea, and it was very controversial just by changing the scheduling class of marijuana, the job issue, the housing market and affordability, which Donald Trump is working on, but the party itself hasn't quite figured out yet. Yeah, if you're going to be viable for the young generation, you have to relate to them on these issues. Right now, I think you have some changes to do, but let's do that instead of just walking away from it.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left finds new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back. And that's where we can help. Head to our website at HooserReason.com. There you can find our latest blog discussing topical issues of the day. Let us know your thoughts on current events with different surveys and chat rooms. And keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Plus, when you head to the website, you can always get great deals and different offers from all of our great radio partners. Finally, if you want more of the show, you can find our podcasts with all of our great episodes and your favorite guests. And make sure to check out the latest Voice of Reason infomercials and maybe some other special content. And it's all because of you being part of the Hoosier-holic family. Let's continue to fight for conservative common sense principles together by going to HooserReason.com. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
What fuels the freedom to dream bigger? Our country's greatest breakthroughs were born from bold ideas and the ability to take one small step forward. At Americans for Prosperity, freedom and opportunity find their defenders. Because our country's next giant leap is just around the corner. Are you ready to step up?
Hey, the live show may be almost over today, but it doesn't have to be for you. As always, enjoy the Voice of Reason with our daily podcast by finding the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser on any of your favorite podcasting sites. Just find us, subscribe, have it automatically downloaded, and listen at your convenience whenever you want to bring some more reason into your day. And a lot of people are doing it. Also, you can always find the video of the show, along with articles, additional commentary, and maybe a few sarcastic remarks by following us on our social media. Stay up to date with everything going on with the show, including upcoming guests, breaking news stories, interesting articles, and maybe some memes. Help us in the ongoing battle with censorship and shadow banning from social media by following us on the social media at Hoosier Reason on all of our social media sites. For all the social media links, podcast links, contact information, or just general information of the show, go to our website at HooserReason.com. There you can listen live every day, read our latest monthly blog, find our radio affiliate list, or even listen to our latest infomercials and special content. Plus, you can always reach out to the program by sending me a message on social media, emailing us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com, or sending an email through our website at HooserReason.com. Whether it's content on the show, whether it's a guest that you've liked or disliked, or whether you want to disagree with me, and disagreement's always appreciated. While you're there, make sure to sign up for our monthly newsletter. Each month, you'll get the latest update on the show, updates from the Hooser Media Network, and our latest blog discussing topical issues of the day. Finally, if you want to help support the show, become a member of our Patreon site and help us fight for the cause of truth, reason, and common sense every day, and get more of the same by becoming the ultimate Hoosier-holic. Get additional interviews that sometimes we don't always get to air on the radio. Hear our special segments or even our infomercials before anyone else, and have a chance to chat with other great Hoosier-holics from all over. By becoming a Patreon subscriber, you're not only helping the fight for conservative values, you're helping us get more content and information out through the Hooser Media Network. Find out more information online at HooserReason.com. Lastly, follow and support all of our partners with the show. The Voice of Reason has been growing more and more every year, and it's because of so many great partners helping us get the message out to you. From show partners to local radio affiliates in your area to streaming sites, podcasting sites, and more, we have so many supporters and listeners now than ever before, and we want to thank you. It's time to bring back common sense, and we do it right here every day with the Voice of Reason.
What fuels the freedom to dream bigger? How did two guys in a cramped California garage reimagine the phone and put the power of the universe at our fingertips? At Americans for Prosperity, we believe greatness can happen anywhere. We just need freedom and the opportunity to make it real. But today, with a rigid system stifling progress, limiting creativity, and holding us back, That's why at AFP, we offer solutions that tackle the most critical challenges facing our country. So there's nothing standing in the way of America's next breakthrough. Because what we build today doesn't just shape the future, it defines it. How will you be defined? Take your first step today with Americans for Prosperity.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US-based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever, every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Switch today and get 1 month of service absolutely free by going to patriotmobile.com/reason.
Truth, reason, and common sense. This is the voice of reason with Andy Hooser.
Yeah, it's great to have you along today for a Friday, setting that tone for the weekend, ready to go. So hopefully you had a great one and you can enjoy a little bit during the weekend. I know the chaos and the news is never going to end, so don't worry, we got you covered. We'll still have our weekend program as well, many of our radio stations and so many more for our weekend broadcast. We will be live and we'll be covering everything that's going on this weekend, so stay tuned in for that. More information, go to the website at HooserReason.com, Hooser Reason, HOOSER Reason.com, and check us out there. Also, our podcast, which is always much appreciated if you sign up and subscribe on any of your favorite podcasting sites, just typing in The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser. All right, let's get to
what's trending today.
And again, now this is pre-taped. However, this was a sit-down we did with another show when we filled in. It was really great content. I really wanted to play it here. But Liz Peek, a columnist, commentator, I believe she's a contributor to Fox News and others, sat down with us to talk about some of the latest. I have now heard that there are more troops from the EU going into Denmark, or I'm sorry, into Greenland.
Say what?
Yeah, because apparently they're concerned about something about an invasion of the United States or something, which is very strange. But we sat down and talked about that with her and so much more as we sat down with columnist and commentator Liz Peek. Liz, how are you, my friend?
I'm terrific. Thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah, appreciate you jumping on here. I got to ask you, we are getting closer to a sit-down conversation for the potential purchasing of the sum of $700 billion for Greenland. We've seen the report, apparently, as of this morning, that Denmark has now sent the Danish armed forces for an increase in armed forces presence to Greenland with a concern of, I don't know, an increase in polar bear activity or because of an invasion of Donald Trump with the military here or something. But is this really happening? Are we about to see the potential purchasing of Greenland?
I don't know. When you say the Danish armed forces, this is really a horrible thing to say, but immediately popped into my mind someone in knight's armor, like a Far Side cartoon, people with lances, etc. I've never heard of the Danish armed forces. I'm sure they're credible, but kind of a funny thing.
They're experts in jousting. Yes, they're experts in jousting.
Like that. I imagine so. Look, I think this is like the 5th or 6th time in American history that we have gone after Greenland with purpose. People have made offers for Greenland going back to, Eisenhower days. And before that, in the 1800s, we tried to buy Greenland. We tried to buy it when we bought simultaneously Alaska from Russia. And by the way, think about that. Can you imagine if Alaska were still Russian-owned? And whatever reason, it never has happened. Even though we offered always far less than now the island is worth. What is it worth? Really nobody knows. And Greenland, Denmark says that they're not interested in concluding a deal. I think Donald Trump would be a loon to actually invade Greenland. I don't think that's really on the table. I may be wrong, but I don't think so. I think what he's doing is trying to pressure the government of Denmark into making a deal. And remember, early on, when this came up the first time, Denmark was not, resolutely opposed to it, and the inhabitants of Greenland seemed somewhat open to it. And then I think the Trump administration got very aggressive on this, and so sure enough, it resulted in the Danish government saying no way, because their own people were sort of like, well, no, we shouldn't be doing this. This is, bad to cave to Donald Trump. But bottom line, Trump's pretty good at doing deals. I think this would be an awesome geopolitical win for the United States. Strategically, as everyone has said, it's a very important asset, particularly as the ice barriers to shipping into the Arctic have more or less dissolved. It's much easier now to access the Arctic, and Greenland would be a very, very good opportunity for us. I think at the least we want to expand our military presence there and do some pretty significant deals on rare earths, which Greenland has in tremendous quantities.
Yeah, it's a really great point. Like you said, if anybody's able to do it, even though we've tried it for years and decades, if anybody's able to do it, it would be a real estate Mongol deal negotiator, someone like Donald Trump, who could actually step in and try and have these conversations. Why do you think that we're seeing Denmark want to hold on to it so badly, but like you said, not do anything with it to try and set the value of the land, to try and see what resources and minerals they actually have? They want it, but they don't want to do anything with it. That's kind of weird to me.
Yeah, well, look, Trump derangement syndrome is not limited to this continent, and the Europeans really hate Donald Trump. I mean, the sort of left-wing bureaucrats in charge of the EU and in charge of many of these countries are not big fans of Donald Trump. But I also think, look, from their point of view, they can extract a bigger and bigger price if they behave that way. But to your point, what are they doing with that? I mean, one thought I have, and honestly I'm sort of spitballing here, is, as you know, it isn't just the control of rare earths that is important. The Chinese came in and undercut the rare earth pricing when we actually were the dominant producer many years ago and made it unprofitable for us. But what they really control, for a lot of other reasons, is processing. And what a great opportunity to set up some processing facilities in Greenland, where you have an awful lot of land that is unoccupied. It's a tremendous environmental issue, processing these rare earths, because you have to process huge amounts of ore to get at very small amounts of the material that you're going after. But maybe Greenland is a place where that could happen. Now, that's going to inflame the idea of people who are pretty set on Greenland being this pristine landscape, and it is that. But nonetheless, I think there are some opportunities there. And again, Denmark, why haven't they taken advantage of it? Well, let's see. When was the last time you heard about a really major business or technological breakthrough out of Denmark? I don't mean to be unkind, but Tivoli Gardens is what I think of when I think of Denmark, and not much more than that.
It's a great point. I love the Scandinavian countries. I love it. And I've said if Donald Trump purchases Greenland, I will be resident number one to move up there into the cold climate. I like my negative 20-degree temperatures, so I'm totally happy with it. But, the Scandinavian areas, they just kind of go with the flow. They don't do a whole lot. We don't hear a lot of news coming out of those areas for sure. Let's shift gears. I wanted to pick your brain on the Iranian revolution right now that's going on, and the talking foreign policy, how much the U.S. should or should not be involved in this. Donald Trump, speaking yesterday in Detroit, said this.
To all Iranian patriots, keep protesting, take over your institutions if possible, and save the name of the killers and the abusers that are abusing you. You're being very badly abused.
Yeah, so we don't know the numbers right now because they have cut off the internet. The nation's gone dark for the most part. We've heard numbers between 3,000 to like 20,000 people that have potentially been slaughtered by the government. I know that there's a really big push right now in the MAGA movement, the America First movement, to not be the regime changer administration or the toppling of other nations getting involved. But at the same time, we have an opportunity to get rid of a really, really bad dictator and a puppet of Russia. How much should we be involved in this?
Well, I think we should do everything we can to help the movement that wants to get rid of the Ayatollahs and the theocratic regime pursue that end. I don't think we should have boots on the ground. I don't know that we should wage war against Iran. But, for example, you mentioned they've shut down the internet, they've shut down communications. We can help with that. Elon Musk can help with that. I'm surprised that hasn't already happened, because Musk very early in the Ukraine war went in and established Starlink satellite communications. I assume that that's going on in some capacity right now. Here's the big problem, and this is really a note to people who are enthusiastic about the Second Amendment. The reason this is really difficult, and that even now the toppling of the regime is unlikely, according to an awful lot of people I speak to, is that the people have no guns. It is a completely unfair, lopsided fight between a regime, the Iranian Revolutionary National Guard, all these militant organizations inside Iran. They are armed, and they can shoot people. The people cannot shoot back. So there is, when Donald Trump says topple the institutions, there's probably sheer numbers can probably make some of that happen, but it's a really difficult thing. So can we funnel, or can we, through operations in Israel or someplace else, funnel arms into Iran to make this a more fair fight? I don't know. I mean, that would obviously be, you would think that intelligence assets would already be hard at work on that. And I want to say something about this MAGA movement being negative on what Donald Trump wants to do here. The MAGA movement is Donald Trump. There was no MAGA movement until the president came along. All these people who aspire to speak for the MAGA movement or for the president, it's complete nonsense. What we have seen from Trump is he will do whatever it takes and go wherever it takes to further America's interests. People don't understand that Iran spends billions of dollars every year basically trying to kill Americans, Israelis, and to undermine the Gulf Arab nations, which are allies to the United States, through the Houthis, the Hezbollah group, which gets over $1 billion a year, and Hamas, which obviously perpetrated one of the worst attacks on Israelis in the history of the country. They foment revolution. They foment upheaval in the Middle East, all kinds of things which are really, really terrible for the United States. So this is in our best interest. That's why we bomb their nuclear facilities. We don't trust the mullahs. We shouldn't trust the mullahs. The fact that we are this close to the mullahs being toppled, you can credit Donald Trump. He has squeezed this Iranian country, rightly so, and if he wants to pursue it further, I say go at it.
All right, so that's Liz Peek again. We appreciate her very much being able to sit down with us earlier. Great content, and you can find her on social media and all of her great work as a columnist and commentator. Got to take a break. One segment left as we wrap things up for a Friday today, getting you set for another weekend. The regime change in Iran, foreign policy, the polls here in the U.S., and so much more. It's The Voice of Reason. Stay here.
This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Big government is broken. Every year, politicians fail to pass a budget as the deficit continues to grow. Every month, unelected bureaucrats pile on rules no one voted for, strangling our economy. And every day, DC's broken system gets in the way of the American dream. Washington isn't working, and the people pay the price. At Americans for Prosperity, we believe it's time to fix the system. Now, join the movement to make government work.
Oh, hey, sorry, I was just enjoying one of my snacks during the break. You know, it's hard to find good quality snacks without all the unhealthy additives, but I'm here to tell you that problem is over. It's time to enjoy J&S Smoked Snacks. Real cuts of beef, real wood smoke, and real flavor that's crafted in small batches to keep every bag fresh. And with numerous different flavors, you'll never get enough. This is not your average gas station jerky. It's J&S Smoked Snacks. Find them online at jssmokedsnacks.com and tell them I sent you.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US-based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever. Every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Switch today and get 1 month of service absolutely free by going to patriotmobile.com/reason.
What fuels the freedom to dream bigger? Our country's greatest breakthroughs were born from bold ideas and the ability to take one small step forward. At Americans for Prosperity, freedom and opportunity find their defenders. Because our country's next giant leap is just around the corner. Are you ready to step up?
Hey, the live show may be almost over today, but it doesn't have to be for you. As always, enjoy The Voice of Reason with our daily podcast by finding The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser on any of your favorite podcasting sites. Just find us, subscribe, have it automatically downloaded, and listen at your convenience whenever you want to bring some more reason into your day. And a lot of people are doing it. Also, you can always find the video of the show, along with articles, additional commentary, and maybe a few sarcastic remarks by following us on our social media. Stay up to date with everything going on with the show, including upcoming guests, breaking news stories, interesting articles, and maybe some memes. Help us in the ongoing battle with censorship and shadow banning from social media by following us on the social media at Hooser Reason on all of our social media sites. For all the social media links, podcast links, contact information, or just general information of the show, go to our website at HooserReason.com. There you can listen live every day, read our latest monthly blog, find our radio affiliate list, or even listen to our latest infomercials and special content. Plus, you can always reach out to the program by sending me a message on social media, emailing us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com, or sending an email through our website at HooserReason.com. Whether it's content on the show, whether it's a guest that you've liked or disliked, or whether you want to disagree with me, and disagreement's always appreciated. While you're there, make sure to sign up for our monthly newsletter. Each month, you'll get the latest update on the show, updates from the Hooser Media Network, and our latest blog discussing topical issues of the day. Finally, if you want to help support the show, become a member of our Patreon site and help us fight for the cause of truth, reason, and common sense every day, and get more of the same by becoming the ultimate Hoosierholic. Get additional interviews that sometimes we don't always get to air on the radio. Hear our special segments or even our infomercials before anyone else, and have a chance to chat with other great Hoosierholics from all over. By becoming a Patreon subscriber, you're not only helping the fight for conservative values, you're helping us get more content and information out through the Hooser Media Network. Find out more information online at HooserReason.com. Lastly, follow and support all of our partners with the show. The Voice of Reason has been growing more and more every year, and it's because of so many great partners helping us get the message out to you. From show partners to local radio affiliates in your area to streaming sites, podcasting sites, and more, we have so many supporters and listeners now than ever before, and we want to thank you. It's time to bring back common sense, and we do it right here every day with The Voice of Reason.
America's safe space for common sense. This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Scott, are there going to be midterm elections?
Yes, I'll bet everybody here a steak dinner. We'll have a midterm election.
Oh, great.
I'll bet you all a steak dinner. And if we have an election, you can all buy me one.
We'll probably be here.
Of course, this is the new bloodbath, right? I mean, we're going to take this out of context, and Caroline explained it perfectly. I mean, what he's saying is, my gosh, we're doing so well. We shouldn't even have to, have a question about this. Of course, we're going to have elections, and we'll see what the American people want to do. I'm not convinced that the outcome's already predetermined. Historically, the party out of power should do well. They're going to have an economic story to tell. I'm convinced about that in 2026. But the president's a realist. He knows what history tells us about midterms. And by the way, he's right about impeachment. His opponents tell people every day that everything he does is illegal. If they win the House, their base isn't going to forget that. They're going to expect him to be impeached for all of his illegal actions. So he has good reason to.
All right, so again, Scott Jennings on CNN, and yes, we are going to have elections even after the scare of Donald Trump said during an interview, we're not going to have elections. There's no need for it. Yeah, the fear mongering, man. I tell you what, the rhetoric is so dumb. They lose any sense of being able to understand what Donald Trump says just because Donald Trump's saying it. And it's very strange. We used to have a segment. We haven't done it much on the program because it's pretty self-explanatory what Donald Trump's been saying. The first administration, he would say stuff, and you're like, oh, we got to kind of decipher it a little bit.
What Donald Trump really meant to say.
Yeah, and we used to have that segment. We really haven't had to do that. Apparently, we have to go back to elementary grade level breakdowns of understanding conversations for the media and for the other side when he says something to understand what he's really trying to say, because they don't grasp it, or they knowingly try not to grasp it, so that way they can create a narrative behind it. But yeah, apparently now Donald Trump doesn't want elections. And while the majority of Americans, according to the CNN poll showing that 58% of Americans say we're on the wrong track and that he's focused on the wrong issues, he says we're winning so much that there's no need to have an election because we're going to dominate because of all the great victories that we've had. It's going to be up to the voters to decide. And again, that messaging that's going to happen at that front as well. By the way, I want to tell you about my friends over at Americans for Prosperity with the policy. And again, slam dunk, Donald Trump's throwing the softball to Congress to make this decision after his great health care plan. That's what he's called it, like the one big beautiful bill. It is called the Great Health Care Plan, allowing Congress to fill in the gaps and the details to try and change healthcare in this nation. We are looking at the options, the private options that you can have. In Americans for Prosperity, you're doing it as well. Go to personaloption.com, and you can learn more about it. You can sign up and figure out how we can put pressure on our elected officials to give us options in healthcare, to give us the best options that we can possibly have, and to make healthcare great again by going to personaloption.com. By the way, real quick on the foreign policy issues, I don't know if you've seen the news. After and during the time when the ambassador of Denmark to the U.S. came here with the prime minister of Greenland, what was that, a day ago, 2 days ago now, where they were discussing with Vice President J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, on the issue of potentially purchasing Greenland. They were not for it. Donald Trump saying that he wants it, and the media, again, creating a whole new narrative that we're going to somehow invade it militarily, which would be hilarious. Again, we're creating peace deals around the world, but then all of a sudden we're going to just invade Greenland for some reason. That's the scare tactic. Since that announcement, there's been a sign and a push politically. This is all politics. It's all games. It's all show. But they've really tried to show that they are not going to allow that to happen, as several different countries in Europe are now sending military to Greenland. Now, they say it's for military training. I don't know why you would need to train in the Arctic in some type of vast land like that of Greenland unless you have a purpose. But it's more of a sign of we're not going to allow the U.S. and Donald Trump to invade Greenland and take it over militarily because we're in the 1400s or something now. But countries that include France, Germany, Sweden, Finland. You had to say it like that. It's not Sweden. It's Sweden. Not Sweden. Finland, Norway, and the Netherlands have all confirmed that they have sent or are sending troops to Greenland to take part in what they're calling a Danish military exercise with some people already on the ground. Now, they tried to address it when they gave the press conference a couple days ago and said, no, it's not for sale. We're not doing this. They tried to address the joke and the trolling that Donald Trump did oh so well, that the only military defense that we have in Greenland right now are dog sleds. So they're really trying to change that narrative. They didn't like the bad PR on that front. So apparently now we're just going to send a whole bunch of countries' military up there to do, and I say this in air quotes for the radio listeners, military exercises with the Danish military in Greenland to show that you'll force and power against President Donald Trump. Crazy times, man. What a world we live in. We'll be back at it again for our syndicated program this weekend for The Voice of Reason. Also, don't miss us back on Monday. A loaded week, so much to cover. What the heck's going to happen this week? We'll have it all for you. Until then, be your own voice of reason. Be that catalyst for change. This is The Voice of Reason. I'm Andy Hooser. We will see you on the radio. Bye. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. You know, when I get off the air every day, the battle for me against limited government censorship and even unfactual content is far from over. That's why now